Hello, fellow gamers. I am your host, Brent Justice, and welcome to our YouTube channel for TheFPSReview.com. I have another video card to show you today. In fact, I've got two video cards to take a look at today. This is the SAPPHIRE PULSE Radeon RX 5500 XT 4G and 8G GDDR6 OC video cards. I've got two different ones to show you. So first of all, as you can see here, we have the AMD Radeon RX 5500 XT GPU based video cards. This is the SAPPHIRE PULSE brand, and these are OC or overclock video cards. That means that they do have a factory overclock on them. Now this box is the 8GB GDDR6 box, but there is also a 4GB one. It just simply says 4 instead of 8, but the box looks identical. PCI Express 4.0 and 7nm, Fidelity FX, FreeSync 2 HDR, RDNA architecture. Of course, this is based on the new 5500 XT GPU. We'll talk about that in just a second. So let's take a look at these two video cards. So here they are. Remove the box. Now, tell me, which one is the 4GB video card and which one is the 8GB video card? You will have absolutely no idea because they are identical. They are identical on the front and the back. There's no size differences, no cooler differences, absolutely no differences by sight that could tell you which one is different, except for the labels. So we'll take a closer look at the label. You will see that this says SAPPHIRE PULSE Radeon RX 5500 XT 8G GDDR6. So the 8G means that it is 8GB. We'll bring up the 4GB card then, and you will see right there on the label 5500 XT 4G GDDR6, and that means it is the 4GB version. So that is one of the unique things about the Radeon RX 5500 XT, is that there can be a 4GB and 8GB version. Let's talk a little bit about that before we continue looking at the video cards here. These are of course based on the Radeon RX 5500 XT GPU that was launched in December of 2019. It is geared toward 1080p gaming, but it's not exactly ultra 1080p experience. It's more of a medium to high 1080p experience, and the competing video card for these is the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 Super. That is the competing video card. This is the Pulse series from SAPPHIRE, and they are both factory overclocked over the reference RX 5500 XT specifications. Now, a Radeon RX 5500 XT is based on AMD's RDNA architecture, manufactured at 7nm, and supports PCI Express 4.0. They have 22 compute units, 1408 stream processors, 32 ROPs, and 88 TMUs. The game clock, or on the reference clock speed, is set at 1717 MHz, and a total boost clock is set at 1845 MHz. They have 4 or 8GB of GDDR6 at 14 GHz on a 128-bit bus, giving it 224 GB a second of memory bandwidth. Total board power is 130 to 135 watts depending on the RAM amount. So that is one of the huge factors that AMD has set apart with the Radeon RX 5500 XT, is that it has 8GB variants. That's something that the competition's GTX 1650 Super does not have. It only has 4GB. The question is, of course, does that 8GB make a difference? If you will check out our review of these video cards, we actually have a specific review where we compared 4GB versus 8GB on the Radeon RX 5500 XT. So that answers that question. So you will want to check out our website to see what the answer to that is. But I'll go over that a little bit later. Let's continue to look at the video cards here. So these are SAPPHIRE PULSE video cards. These have a factory overclock. The factory overclock on these video cards is 1737 megahertz. Now remember, the default or reference spec is 1717 megahertz. So that's only a 20 megahertz increase, but the way that the boost clock works on these Radeon cards is that it can actually clock much higher while gaming, and you will actually find that the game frequency is much higher than that 1737. So even though it's a small factory overclock, the result is much higher than you think it would be. So check out our reviews to see how high it is, and you will actually be surprised how high both of them actually obtain in games when they're gaming. The total boost clock is 1845 megahertz, and you will see that these actually come right at that level when gaming. It's quite interesting to see, so check out our review. But that little factory overclock goes a long way. That's the whole point there. So let's continue to look at these video cards here. As you can see, they are exactly the same. You can't tell which one's the 4 gigabyte or 8 gigabyte. So if you're looking, for any kind of difference visually, you're not going to see it there. But what you will see here is 2 fans in an axial fan design, and Sapphire has some unique technologies on here to make this fan design better and make it dispel air better than a normal axial fan design would do. For example, this has what's called Sapphire's free flow, and that improves upon the traditional axial fan design. Sapphire redesigned the airflow so that the hot air is expelled through the system fan instead, rapidly dissipating heat. It includes a tunneled fin with tiny holes which increase the conventional airflow. That's the official definition for what their free flow is, and it's basically just a way for it to dispel air better out of the back of it, since the whole thing is an open design, just like you would normally have in an axial fan tech design. You would have this, a completely open design, and normally a lot of air would come out the top, and you would have a lot of air come out the back, or even air out the bottom here on the PCI Express slot. Well, the way that they designed the shroud on this and the little air holes allows it to funnel the air better through the back, basically better than it normally would. So more air will actually be dissipated out the back rather than around the card into your case, which is of course what you want. Now, another unique thing on this, you'll notice right up front, since we're right here at the port, so we'll just go ahead and talk about this. And this is on both video cards. It actually has 3 display ports and only 1 HDMI. Now, normally you get 2 HDMI and 2 display ports, but this one's heavy on the display port and less on the HDMI. That can create some unique situations for you. For example, let's say you want a triple display setup, a really easy multi-triple display setup. Well, if you just have 3 display port displays, there you go. That's real easy. Now that will become a problem if you want 3 HDMI input. They're going the display route on this one, not heavy on the HDMI, so only 1 HDMI. So that's an interesting design choice on this video card. What else do we have here? We'll see. We've got Sapphire's Dual X cooling system. So the whole heat sink and shroud and fan system combined is called their Dual X cooling system. That means that the GPU, memory, and VRMs are all cooled while maintaining a low level noise. So this actually has cooling on the memory and the VRMs. The heatsink makes direct contact with those hardware components to keep them cool with the heatsink and the fans, and that's their overall unit. The fans are intelligently controlled by RPM. They can change speed as needed and keep the noise down and provide just the right amount of air as needed, but keeping the noise down. Sapphire was very keen on making sure the noise levels are extremely low on this video card. It also has a very precise IC control, and I'll just read it directly from their website here. The fan IC control reduces the differential between fan rotation cycles at 3% versus standard fans at 10%. This is a 70% improvement on accuracy. Basically, that is how they can change the rotation of the fans, and they can do it more accurate. That's what they're saying there. So they have a lot of control over the fans and how they run on that. And again, that's all about keeping the noise down while keeping enough air flowing through the whole video card. But otherwise, it's a pretty simple setup. We have a large heat sink that, of course, goes throughout the entire video card, all the way to the back here. In fact, it goes past the printed circuit board. You will see right here the printed circuit board actually ends right here, and then we have extra heatsink space toward the back. So this has an enlarged heatsink. So the PCB is small, a lot smaller than the actual card, but it's customized with custom hardware, and of course the cooling is customized, and you can see there's a heat pipe here, and there's another heat pipe down there, a smaller one, and then this bigger one here. So it's got like 3 heat pipes on it, and they do all make direct contact with the GPU to provide cooling, but it spreads out the heat in 3 different areas rather than like 2 on a video card similar to this. So that's interesting. And then again, yeah, just the larger overall shroud and heatsink compared to the size of the PCB is quite interesting. The VRMs are cooled, and they have a high thermal conductivity pad on the as well on the back plate to take heat away. Memory is also cooled using a specially designed independent cooling module. So there's basically like extra hardware on the memory that's in that is like a heatsink attached to the memory. Dual X cooling refers to the 2 large silent fans and the radiator design. The fans have a streamlined form, and they are 95 millimeters and low noise. So that's how the design of the video card works there. These video cards are completely customized with custom hardware components on them. Sapphire has fuse protection built in. So there is a fuse protection built into the circuit of the external PCI Express power connector to keep the components safe. This video card, both of them actually, also have a dual BIOS, and this is again something you usually find on higher end video cards, but no, here we go, a low end video card, and see right here it says BIOS switch. That might be upside down. There's a little switch right there. Turn it this way, you can probably read it better. BIOS switch. So right in there is a BIOS switch, and flicking that switch, it's in default performance mode, but flicking that switch will change the performance mode. In the performance mode, you're going to get the most aggressive fan profile. In silent mode, you're going to get a lesser aggressive fan profile. You're also going to get reference specifications, so 1717 megahertz rather than the overclock. Really, there's no reason to change that. The video card's silent enough as it is. You're spending the money on this video card, you're going to want the best performance out of it. So I would just leave it in performance mode, but it is nice that it has a dual BIOS, and that's something that again you find on more high-end cards, but here it is on a sub $200 video card, so that's good to have that there as well. The power design is customized. It uses Sapphire's phase digital power to aid in overclocking and balancing current distribution and averaging thermal dissipation for each power phase. So it's all customized hardware on there. The video card does require, or both of them require, one 8-pin power connector for external power, so just keep that in mind. You do need an 8-pin. This is not a 6-pin. You need an 8-pin on here. The card measures 9.17 inches. So if we bring this here, we put this here, line it up, you will see it comes to the 9 on the on our ruler here. The official specification is 9.17. So 9.17 inches. It's not a very long video card. It's very compact, so it will fit in many case builds. That's very good. It'll fit in lower end case builds, smaller case builds very easily. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of list off the official Sapphire features. I might not go into explanation on every single one of them, but these are the specific features that Sapphire has on the video card, or what they call many of their features. They have what they call power design, free flow, tricks supported, Trix Boost, Intelligent Fan Control, Precision Fan Control, Robust VRM Cooling, Robust Memory Cooling, Dual X Cooling Technology, Tough Metal Backplate, PCB Layers, 2-ball bearing, Fan Quick Connect, Fuse Protection, and Dual BIOS. Those are the official features, and yes, there is a backplate, as you can see, a nice looking backplate, and it is ventilated so that it will not trap heat underneath. A very welcome feature. That means that it will not, cause the video card to be warmer than it should be. It will ventilate heat throughout the back, but also keep the whole video card rigid and stable. And it's got this whole bracket around it that helps it do that as well, from the shroud to the back plate. So it's a very solid video card. It feels real good in the hand. And the other thing was that the fans are ball bearing and not sleeve bearing based. So that's what they have chosen to go with on that. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say. When you look at both video cards, they are identical in terms of how they look. One's 8, one's 4. Oh, mix them up. Ooh, okay. Which one is which? Which one's 8? Yeah, you don't know. So just make sure when you're buying it, you're choosing the right one, 8 or 4. It'll say 4G or 8G on there. Now, we have done a review of both of these video cards on our website. We've got the 4G review and we got the 8G review. We did specific separate reviews of each one. And in addition to that, we did a third article, a third review, where we have both of them put head to head versus each other, 4 GB versus 8 GB. And we tested 8 games, and we tested at 1080p and 1440p, and we turned up the game settings, and we really looked at, is there any performance difference in games between having a 4 GB or 8 GB Radeon RX 5500 XT? We answered that question in that review, and that review is very, very, very much worth it to check out to see if you want to buy the 4 GB or 8 GB version. If you're wondering which one to get, you must read that article first. We didn't talk about the pricing up front, so let's hit that right now. The 4 GB model has an MSRP. A regular Radeon RX 5500 XT has an MSRP on the 4 GB model of $169.99. The 8 GB jumps up to $199.99. So that's a pretty big difference between the 4 GB and 8 GB. And then the Sapphire, it has a little bit of a price premium on that. You'll find the 4 GB model for $179, and you'll find the 8 GB model for $229. So the 8 GB model is quite a bit higher than the 4 GB, and that's why you really want to look at the performance and the games you're playing to see if that 8 GB is worth it or not for you. It may be that spending that extra money on the 8 GB makes a difference for you, but it may also be true that it doesn't. It just depends on the games you're going to be playing. So you'll want to check out our review and see what results we got and see what our opinion is on which one you should buy. Now, if you can find an 8 GB version for around $200 or even on sale or discount for less, that would be a good buy. That's not a bad deal. It's just going to depend on the price you can find that at. But that's what Sapphire offers on these two video cards for that. And so check out our review, see what the performance we got. We also compared the 8 GB video card to a GeForce GTX 1650 Super overclocked. We overclocked both video cards and compared them overclock versus overclock. So we have a ton of comparisons and a ton of tests with these cards in several configurations. Very much worth checking out. We have a review on the 4 GB model and the 8 GB model, which is more recent, and then a review comparing both together, which is the most recent. So you will want to check out all 3 reviews. I will put them in the description below for you, but check them out and you can see what that's all about. And hopefully that will help you make a better buying decision. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you like what you see here, give us a like. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more. And leave a comment below and let us know what you think. So thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next one.